These days, artificial intelligence is everywhere. But how can a business owner use AI to make better video content? Today in our lesson, we explore AI-powered video creation tools. We look at 5 tools that can enhance the quality of your video, help you to repurpose the short-form video with little effort, and we're going to look at one special piece of software that can help you speak a language you never learned. Here we go. Teaching you to make useful content so that you can build long-term relationships with the people that matter to your business. Hello and welcome to the Useful Content Podcast. And today we have a new teacher in the Useful Content classroom, Karl Yeh. Hi, Karl.
Hey, Juma, how's it going?
It's going pretty well, man. I'm glad to have you on the podcast today. And I know we've been on LinkedIn together for a little while. Actually, I know you as a video content creator and strategist on LinkedIn, but you are involved in some new things these days. So could you please tell the people what you're up to these days, how you help your clients and the people you serve with useful content?
So I made the transition from, I guess, like marketing and video marketing to AI, artificial intelligence, and really helping businesses strategize on how to implement AI operations and really how to integrate it into their business. And because I think for me, I believe there's a widening gap that is a cause for concern between the people who use artificial intelligence frequently, and that includes creators, and those who don't. And as that gap widens, and a couple of reasons why that gap is happening is because the technology is moving so fast that education, like people can't get educated fast enough that there's something else that replaces it, or something else new, or some new feature. And as people are trying to learn it, it just keeps iterating and evolving so fast. And sometimes it's very difficult for people to catch up. And then from a creator side, us creators, especially the AI creators, we're creating a lot of content around the newest tools, why it will change the world. Where I think the gap is we need to be able to teach people how to actually use it in a business context, not just use it, but actually use it that it'll impact, their day-to-day, be more efficient, be more productive, also impact, like, how do we do it to impact business goals and objectives?
Right. So you would have transitioned late 2022 strongly into AI. I was around that time.
Yeah. So like I've been interested in AI since about 2016, but it's more about like, hey, these are all these neat use cases, and you can kind of see where it potentially is going. But just like everybody else, you didn't expect it to actually blow up until late November 2022, when ChatGPT exploded and just enabled so many people, because AI is in everything that we use, right? So the Google algorithm, social media algorithms, what we see on Netflix, how it propagates our, here's our recommended video based on all these videos that you watched before. Our phones that we use, there's a lot of AI in there, but nothing that we actually can use and that's actually good. Like, for a long time, if you've ever seen some of the old AI programs, yeah, they can generate the stuff what you're wanting, but it was pretty terrible. But now, if we all can see all the things that it's helping generate, and for me, I think it's really helping creators really be able to enhance their work.
Right. And so you are marrying your love for video creation. I know that's something that you like to do. Mm-hmm. And the use of these AI tools that you're interested in together. And that's what we're going to talk about today, how people could use AI in order to enhance their video marketing, their video strategy, their video production. And that's what we're going to touch on today. I know for sure that you transitioned into video because you were into marketing before and you wanted to kind of touch on the more creative part of marketing. When you started to discover AI, what was the thing about AI that made you feel that you could be creative with AI as well?
I think the ability not just so the to me I see the content creation from a video perspective, pre-production, post-production, right? There's a lot that goes into, as you know, and as a lot of creators like video creators know, before you actually start filming, before you start actually hitting record. There's the scripts, there's the strategy, there's like all the things that go into the actual process of filmmaking. And then after the fact, all the things that surround it to actually get from, your SD card, your SS, your CF Express card, whatever that is, to actually published on, whether it's a company's website, whether it's on social networks, wherever, or even like the big screen, wherever that's going, there's a lot of process in there. But then you can see that a lot of the AI tools can elevate, enhance, and improve the efficiency both pre-production and post-production. And then on top of that, you see all these other tools that can like enhance the actual film itself. So there's so many different things, both from like, oh, as a filmmaker, I can produce films quicker. It can enhance my work. I can improve my workflow and get my stuff out to people faster, but also it can also elevate what I think creatively, and things that I thought only big movie studios could do, now I could do as well, which just opens so many doors.
So that's the democratization of AI. Well, it's the use of AI to democratize video creation. What are
Yeah.
some of your favorite tools for video content creators right now?
The one that I think I love the most, and it's actually the simplest one, is Adobe's what they call Podcast Enhance. Now, for the longest time, when you're setting up to film anything, with your phone, with your camera, whatever it is, obviously everyone's thinking about sound, audio design. Is the setting, can we hear anything? Like, is there an echo? Like, how could we, you know, we put so much emphasis, even home studios, into acoustic paneling, like even putting blankets around, rugs on the floor to ensure that the highest quality sound, right? For both of us, I can see in your background there is audio paneling. I have it right in front. I think though this tool, which is just a drag and drop, has simplified my workflow because I don't necessarily have to be 100% precise with my, setting up my audio for shoots. This thing can take something that is like, if you're filming outside, it's really windy and you don't have a like a sound cat, or you didn't set up your lapel mics correctly and you're picking up a lot of sound. That's a lot of hours in the studio in post production for you to fix that audio. But with this thing, it's just a quick drag, drop, and the quality of sound that comes out of that is amazing. That, something that would have taken me 30 minutes, an hour of audio design because I screwed up in filming, or there was too much, ruffling or whatever it is. It cleans that all up and it sounds like as if you're in a studio. Is it 100% perfect? No, but 90% of the way it's pretty good. And most of the stuff I film now, really, short vertical videos, I just drag it, drop it, and it makes the sound amazing.
Yeah. And here's the interesting thing is that Adobe has this tool. I discovered that exact tool last week, and
Yeah.
I began to use it. Now, prior to this, I was using Audacity, and they have a noise removal tool, which
Yeah.
one could say is kind of like AI, but was never touted as that. But the tool that I use the most frequently to edit and to create my content, which is Descript, they do have a studio sound tool as well, which makes your phone audio sound like it was recorded in a studio.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I can agree with you that those tools really do help your workflow. So let's just talk about workflow a little bit. What are some other things that AI does for video creators that could help them enhance their workflow?
So unfortunately, I'm a DaVinci and Final Cut editor. And there is a tool. By the way, are you in Premiere? Are you a Premiere editor?
No, my company uses Final Cut.
Final Cut. Okay.
Yeah.
First of all, I don't know why Apple keeps ignoring Final Cut. Like, please, Apple, could you make some sort of edits or something for Final Cut? Because we've been asking for it for a long time, and it's like
Yeah.
there's no updates. But there is this tool called Autopod in Premiere, and all you need to do is, it's a plugin. You drop your very raw files, and it will cut it for you. So say you have an hour-long interview, an hour-long podcast. It'll cut that thing in less than 2 minutes, and the edits are actually outrageous, and they're very good. Like, you may have to tweak it, but instead of spending 45 minutes, an hour on like your first cut edit, this thing will do it in like a couple minutes. And that is huge. That is saves so much time on a workflow.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go back. So the first tool we talked about with the audio enhancement, what was that called again?
It's Adobe Auto Podcast Enhance. I think that's what it's called.
Adobe Auto Podcast Enhance or just Podcast Enhance?
So it's Adobe. Hold on. Let me try to find this.
I love this. We can Google while we're podcasting, which is great.
Podcast Enhance. So the official name is called, yes. So I call it Adobe Podcast Enhance, but they call it Adobe Audio Enhance.
Right. Okay, great. So
Right.
that's the one to turn your terrible audio into podcast quality
Yes.
audio using AI. Right. And the second thing we spoke about, which is a plugin for Premiere Pro, which is an Adobe product as well, is called what?
It's called Autopod.
Autopod. Okay, great.
Yeah.
And when you say it cuts it, what do you mean by it cuts the audio?
It does. Let's make this complicated. Let's say you have multiple cameras for an interview, right? And when a person speaks, ideally when you're cutting the video, you're doing multi-layer, multi-cam edits, and selecting when the person speaks, when the other person speaks, and then you're switching back and forth between cameras, right? And you're doing those edits and then cutting all the ums and all the breaks in between. This Autopod does this all of it. It automatically switches cameras, automatically cuts all those breaks and ums. It does it all within minutes of, let's say, an hour, 2 hour interview or a podcast or a video podcast you did. It does it in a couple minutes. It's one of the most amazing tools I've seen.
Yeah, I think, across the board, I think these tools are becoming very amazing because here's the truth. The truth is that when we finish talking here, right now we're recording on Squadcast.
Yeah.
Squadcast is now a Descript company.
Okay.
So it's an all-in-one tool. You might be aware of this. And so I have local recording, which is high quality. And then what I would say is that I would click on the Descript button and say open in Descript. It would open up a multi-track sequence.
Yeah.
And then when it opens the multi-track sequence, it will transcribe it. And then it will tell me focus on speaker. And it will do the cuts for me. It will cut a scene for when everybody speaks. So when you speak, and it's so, you think about it, it's so clean. What it does is that it gives you kind of a J cut, so you can hear your voice talking while it's transitioning, and it does that back and forth. And I think it's amazing. The first time I discovered it, I was like totally amazed by what it did. So I guess you're talking about something similar that Adobe Premiere Pro can do with Autopod.
Yes.
And this is specifically for video podcasting.
It's specifically for video, specifically for editing. It's yeah. When I first saw it, I was like, do they have a plugin for Final Cut and do they have a plugin for DaVinci? But they don't. I'm hoping like there's enough want and need for it that they'll do something similar. It's just especially for like now where a lot of people are doing interview style and especially for any filmmaker who does like corporate type work where you have people speaking to each other, speaking to multiple people, that just speeds up your workflow so fast. And the script can do the exact same thing. I just feel with the script, I have so many plugins and all these things that I don't want to keep going back and forth. Like I'll just edit everything in one place, right?
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, whatever your workflow is, it makes sense. I guess the whole point of this thing now, having AI tools, is to make your life easier, right?
Yes.
To make your life easier, to make it faster. You can get the content out faster, get it to your clients faster. Are there any other major tools that you've seen emerge that makes a massive difference in the workflow for video creators?
Yes. So as you know, vertical video is pretty big, right? So YouTube Shorts, TikTok, Reels. And one of the things that creators can do is, you have a long form piece of content, long form interview, long form video podcast. Now, most of the time, you still have to cut clips from that to post on, the vertical channels. Something like video or Opus clips automatically does that for you. It
Mm,
cuts, and it's based on their AI algorithm, on what potentially could go viral, and it'll cut the clips, add the captions for you too. And what I've seen it do, and I'm still testing it out, again, it's another time saver because instead of me having to find the clips or working with the person saying, hey, between 225 to 22.52 and 23:47, cut this clip because we really like it. Well, now we have a tool that can give you 10 potential clips that it's already cut, it's added the captions for you, and it's ready to go. And you can still do a little bit of edit, but at the very least, it's there. It's ready,
yeah.
right? And that's, again, to save so much time.
Right. And so we now introducing Opus Clips. So we talked about the long form content, getting
Mhm.
you have your multicam suite sequence if you're doing interview style, and then you have the audio being fixed, and then
Yeah.
possibly if you haven't added captions to the long form, or Premiere Pro can do that as
Yeah.
well. And so can Descript. And then now you're going to take that long form content and you're going to export that, and then you're going to run it through Opus Clip, and it will spit out uh, multiple short form pieces. And when you use Opus Clip, can you define, well, I want the clip to be only as short as 15 seconds and only as
Yep.
long as 90 seconds? You can do all that?
Yeah, you can set the thing from like under 30 seconds, between 30 and 60, between 60 and 90. And then when it comes back with the clips, you can further edit the clips to be longer or shorter, or take a different section that you think, oh, this didn't capture what I wanted to capture, but it's close enough that I can start, adding to it. So there's a lot of flexibility, but for those who don't want to do any more editing, it's providing you the clips that you would have, it would taken you, either you cutting it a long time or you sending it to your editor and asking them to find clips, or you having to find the timestamps for it.
Yeah, I think that's great, because trust me, I've looked at timestamps already. It's very, very difficult, especially when you have already started the edit and the original timestamps are not the same as the edited timestamps, and then the client gets it and say this doesn't line up. I'm not seeing the place that you told me. You're going in here. I mean, it could be messy at the end of the day.
Of course,
Uh,
of
and
course, yeah.
all right, so we've talked about how we can help with audio. We talked about taking that long form content and making it into something that you can use for video podcasting or interview style with YouTube and things of that nature. And we've spoken about taking those that long form video and using AI to cut it up into short form clips. Are there
Mhm.
any other things inside of your workflow as a video creator that will also enhance or cut time down that AI provides?
There's like these peripheral things that I haven't tried yet. Now, there's one tool, I believe it's in v.io, that if somebody is, let's say, not looking at the camera and looking at their notes and reading a script, you know how hard that is sometimes to film somebody, make them look at the camera, have them memorize a section, go back and look back, and all the stuff around that. There's a tool, I believe it's in Veed, where all you do, it automatically shifts the eyes from looking at the script to looking directly at the camera, and
Mm,
naturally too. That to me is amazing. That to me is amazing.
mm.
And when I saw it, I was like, that is crazy. Where I don't even need my subject, if they're reading, to have a teleprompter. I can just have them look somewhere else and it automatically bring their eyes directly back. I
Yeah.
the oh, and there's one thing that I actually use, and it's a language translation. It just came out. It's a tool called HeyGen, where, let's say, for example, you were interviewing somebody, or somebody, that interview is in English. This tool can now, with the same accent and having their lips move, be able to translate that into, say, I don't know, French, Portuguese, Hindi, Japanese, like a whole list of languages. And so, if your business or your client requires something that needs to be translated or can go maybe further, now you have the tool to do it just using one video. So instead of having to shoot, like some one in Japanese, one in Portuguese, one in French, or getting a French actor, if for businesses, like, this is so time saving and like cost effective to just do one video and be able to make it look like as if that person can speak in that native language.
Yeah, I agree. I work with a global organization, and one of the things that we had set up over the years, translation hubs around the world.
Hmm.
So it will get recorded, the videos will get recorded in the Caribbean, and then we'll send it out to the Middle East, to France, to Japan,
Hmm.
and what you have to do is get actual people to look at the video. Suppose let's say the video is 45 minutes long. They sit, they look at it, and they translate it in real time. And then they have to do a voiceover. You get the transcript. I mean, it's a process. So
Yes, of course.
if you wanna get a video out, let's just suppose in a couple of days, that means the team generally would have to work overnight in order to get it done. And on what you're saying is with that tool that you described, what is it called again?
It's called HeyGen.
With HeyGen, you're
Yeah.
saying that you feed it one piece of video in whatever native language that is, and it literally recreates this person in the person's voice. I would think
Yes.
speaking the native language, and I suspect it might also be done in a natural way and not in a robotic way.
So here's the limitation so far. Let's say you don't speak French, you don't speak Hindi, you don't speak Mandarin. So when, let's say, you translate it, it looks, it sounds exactly like someone speaking Hindi, someone speaking Mandarin. But if you take it to a native speaker, the comment I usually get is, it's not that it's missing some of the, I guess, colloquialism or like the slang that a lot of people use, because it's very formal. So no one. So yesterday I was talking to a friend of mine. She said, because I showed her someone who is speaking Hindi that doesn't. She's like, that sounds accurate, and that person is actually using language that is like very, very proper, very formal. And that would be the downside, because as you know, like whoever is native speaking, and if you go back to English, we can kind of you can kind of listen to it and say, no one really speaks like that in real life. It's very proper, very formal. And that's where I think right now it's being trained on the formal use of the language, but doesn't take into account how regular people would speak.
Yeah, yeah. So it's accurate but not natural.
Exactly. It sounds natural to somebody who doesn't speak the language, but for native speakers, it's a bit too formal.
Yeah, yeah. I would see that that could be a problem and a challenge because
Yeah.
you need to actually train it on people, regular people speaking,
Yes.
and I guess the challenge with that is from area to area, province to province, state to state,
Exactly.
town to
Exactly.
town, city to city. You're going to have
Yeah.
different things about language. Language is a hard one for AI, I think.
It's
Um,
tough. It's tough. And like, so for example, so our company has like, um, we have an office in France. And then so we did we did this French like version. People there were like, it sounds Quebec French, not local dialect French. I can't get the difference, but I think but they do. And I think that's important to recognize too, because, right, there's French native to France and there's French native to Quebec French. And I don't know, but there are differences that both groups can really pick up on.
yeah, I would suspect that that would be the case for any native language that is spoken in different countries, that we will have our own
Yes.
nuance. So, like where I'm from in Trinidad and Tobago, they often say that we are very sing songy in the way we speak. Now, I'm speaking with you, and I know you're from Canada, from Alberta, yeah,
Yes.
right. So I know that. So I would not speak the way I speak with you as I would speak with a native speaker, because
Sure.
then it gets really
Yeah.
where you wouldn't
Yeah.
understand.
Yes.
I,
Yes. For
and,
sure.
and I think there's a big challenge, but I think AI is doing a great job, and I guess you would agree that AI is doing a great job thus far based on where it's at right now, just in doing the translations and things of that nature. Um, what I would ask is, I know that these are all tools we've spoken about, right? And for you, where do you see these tools taking us in the future, and where do you think these tools will go in the future when it comes to creating video content?
I think what I wanted to say was, when you were saying, all the cool things that we could do and what some of the limitations are, I've heard from multiple people, and they've always said this. They had the sayings that, especially a lot of like top AI, experts and influencers, people like Ethan Mollick, people like, the leaders in those major AI companies, that this is the worst that AI is going to be today. Because every tomorrow, next week, the week after, it's just going to get better and better and better. So all the limitations that we talked about today, they could be gone in 3 months. Like, that's how fast the pace of innovation and the pace of evolution of these things are going. So, but when you talk about the creativity factor, I don't know if you were paying attention to, or you were looking at Adobe's release, especially their generative AI tool for video.
Yes, I have.
Oof. I I don't I don't I don't know what that means. All I know is, if I have the ability, like, say for example, if you take all these tools in combination, I want if I use, let's say, ChatGPT or another large language model to, hey, write me a script similar to Quentin Tarantino about, whatever a premise that you wanted to film, like, capture or film, it'll give you one. And then, with your experience, let's say you're an experienced filmmaker or even just starting out, you can apply your experience and create something in the same vein as Quentin Tarantino, all the way down to, how how to tell a story using B-roll, how to tell a story using lighting, how to tell a story using composition. All those different elements you can really drill and dive deep. Then what you can do is you can film, but now have the capabilities like a Hollywood studio to, maybe add CGI into it. I can see a day where you can actually take an actor's face. If you pay for, let's say, a license, you can create movies with young Tom Cruise or young Bruce Willis or old Bruce Willis. Like, you can manipulate it to the fact. So you can have actors that there's no way, indie filmmakers would ever have access to, put them right into your film. And then take it even further, all the tools we talk about post production, but even like, being able to manipulate backgrounds, being able to manipulate all these things. Let's say you never had a budget. You don't have a budget to have your film shot in, I don't know, the Sistine Chapel, but now you can, with being able to generate these backgrounds that everyone has access to, that formerly either you had to film there and spend millions of dollars or have amazing editors and CGI that you couldn't afford either. Now it's all possible. So, and that's just a small example. Like, and we're just talking film, like imagine animation, imagine, all that. And then like virtual reality is coming, augmented reality. I think it's it's a little scary, but really believe there's going to be a new rise of the creator class that's going to take advantage of these and just run with it and really push their creativity. And it's going to make some really weird, but also really amazing new things that people will consume.
Yeah, that's great. I agree. And I, for one, welcome all AI overloads.
I'm a little, the one thing though, I think that all the things around copyright, all the things around, deep fakes, that is a concern, right? Because you don't know what's real anymore, because everyone can create anything. Everyone can create scenes of anything that can happen. And you're just like, is that real? Is that not? And I don't know how to solve that. And I think that's going to be a one issue going forward that,
yeah.
I'm not sure how you can solve that.
Yeah, I do think it's a problem with how people are going to use and or misuse the technology. And when you get something good, people are going to try their best to find a way to
Of course. Yeah.
exploit the thing
Yeah.
for whatever means. And it's again, it's all a human thing. It comes back to what human beings are willing or not willing to do. And hopefully the good outweighs the bad when it comes to AI, and we're able to use it just on a pure business level. Let's not talk about changing the world now. Let's talk about changing your own business.
Yep.
On a pure business, making your business better, serving your clients better level. I think I am skeptical too. I was skeptical and I still am skeptical to some degree, but I think I'm more skeptical about the human component rather than the technology itself. And so what are your thoughts on how people should think about AI and whether or not they should seek to use it now or should they wait? What are your thoughts on that?
So there's two, I guess, paths I want to take that question. The first path is, for people who want to use it, who are a little bit hesitant or have, really strong opinions of AI, I think you should try some of the tools. Whether it's something as simple as using a model to help you build a script, maybe use Adobe Podcast Enhance, just, fix your audio. Try some of those tools. But here's where I think as creators, we really need to think about with the democratization of content creation, video content creation, image content creation, text content creation. Anybody that has a computer can create anything, can create all this content and create it so fast, which means we're going to be in the age of, and if it's not already, all this AI generated content, which means there will be a premium on content that builds human connection and human experience. So I think this is where we should really zig while everyone's zagging, or vice versa. So, when people are so excited about creating those using AI tools because it makes it easy, I think this is where creators who are experts in their craft can, yes, leverage AI tools, but think about, can you actually increase or build human connection or human experience? And we're seeing a little bit of this where, attendance in real life events is up, because at the end of the day, we as humans, as a society, as people, want to connect with real people. Yes, you're going to have people who want to talk with, like tools like character AI or AI generator, or the things that Meta created, which is really weird. Like, it looks like Kendall Jenner, but it's not, or it looks like Tom Brady, but they named him Chad. Is very strange stuff. But I think there is an innate need for us to connect with people, like on a human to human level. So as creators, I really believe, hey, think about using AI tools to augment, but also if you can create that human element, where are those opportunities? I would lean into that while everybody else is creating like AI content, because I think that'll be a premium, that'll set you apart.
And that's a great way to wrap everything up and to kind of summarize what we've talked about today. That's really excellent, Karl. Karl, where can the people find you online if they want to kind of inquire about how you can help them with AI and video content creation?
For sure. Connect with me on LinkedIn, probably the best way. And I'm also on TikTok, Your Next Level AI Business. If you want to check that out or find it on TikTok. Those are probably the two best places to reach me.
I saw that video on TikTok you made. I think it's your biggest video on TikTok. It's basically testing to see if they could recognize ChatGPT AI generated content. It's interesting that one was the biggest one that you have, trying to figure out whether it's AI or not. So yeah, you can check Karl out on TikTok as well. He has some good content across there. So it's great talking with you today, Karl, about AI and video production. All right, we've had a bit of a more flowing conversation. Normally we're like point 1, point 2, point 3, but I felt for the benefit of the people, we could talk about the tools and just have a general discussion about AI and video production. And so it was great talking with you. Do you have any last nuggets to drop before we sign off?
I think for any creator who is listening to this or watching this, I would say just go out and test, and don't think about it as something that's coming to replace you. Think about it as another tool in your tool belt to really enhance what you're doing already and take your creativity to the next level. Excellent.
Beautiful words to end off this discussion about AI and video. And so I want to thank all of the students for joining us here in the Useful Content Classroom. Useful Content Classroom dismissed. And we're clear.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me.
You're most welcome. Thanks for coming on. Like, I don't usually record in the night, and my kids are making so much noise outside.
No, right, I didn't hear them.
They're making so much noise outside. I'm like I'm muting and I'm unmuting the mic, and I'm hearing doors being slammed. Oh, man, it's so late. The Useful Content Podcast is brought to you and produced by Relate Studios. You can see the work we do on our website at relatestudios.com. If you like what you've heard on the podcast today, please follow and come back in 2 weeks for another great episode. And if you want to get more useful content in between that, you can follow me, Juma Bannister, on LinkedIn and on Twitter. We all know it's still Twitter. See you soon in the Useful Content Classroom.